Evidence to action: how research can influence policy and practice. Research can play a powerful role in shaping policy, standards, and practice, but this does not happen automatically. For research to influence real-world decisions, it needs to connect to the systems that shape how communities, services, and infrastructure operate. This means thinking carefully about how research findings could support structural change. Understanding the structural lever. One important question to consider is what system could change because of this research? In many cases, change happens through formal mechanisms such as policies, standards, planning frameworks, or regulatory codes. Research that aims to influence these systems should think about which policy, code, or standard may need to change, who is responsible for that system, and how reform in that system normally occurs. Understanding these pathways can help ensure research findings are relevant to real policy and regulatory processes. Knowing who makes decisions. Another important consideration is who has the authority to make change. Different parts of government and industry and community play different roles. For example, decisions may sit with planning authorities, standards bodies, infrastructure or transport agencies, government ministers or portfolios, or procurement authorities that influence how projects are funded and delivered. When research clearly connects to the organisations responsible for change, it becomes easier for decision makers to see how the evidence could be used. Building evidence that supports reform. Research that influences structural reform often provides evidence that decision makers can use when considering change. This might include evidence about the economic and social impacts of accessibility, the costs and benefits of different approaches, how reforms could be implemented in practice, or how other jurisdictions have addressed similar challenges. Some research may also explore how universal design approaches could improve systems for everyone. Evidence like this can help governments, regulators, and industry and communities better understand the implications of change. Disability leadership and diverse perspectives. Research that aims to influence policy should also be shaped by the expertise of people with disability. This means working with people with disability as partners in research design and decision making. It also means recognising that experiences of, say, accessibility and inclusion are not the same for everyone. Important perspectives may include cultural safety and the experiences of First Nations communities, the realities of regional, rural, and remote areas, the perspectives of young people with disability, and the experiences of older people as they age with disability. When diverse perspectives are included, research is more likely to reflect the complexity of real-world systems. Planning how knowledge will be used. Finally, it can be useful to think about how research findings might be shared and used. Policy and regulatory systems often move through review cycles, consultation processes, and reform programs. Research that connects with these moments can be particularly valuable. Researchers may also consider how to engage with peak bodies, government agencies, and community organisations who work in these areas. Accessible communication is also important. Clear summaries, accessible formats, and practical outputs can help ensure research findings are understood and used. Research has the potential to strengthen the evidence that informs policies, standards, and practice. By understanding how systems change, who makes decisions, and how evidence is used, research can help support reforms that create more accessible and inclusive communities. The goal is not just to understand problems, but to generate evidence that helps systems improve and evolve.